Hi everybody, this is Odd Samurai, and today I'm going to be reacting to The Summer Hikaru Died, episode 10. So, I don't think I have much new to say about episode 9, but let's talk about it anyway. So, it's interesting that when we see the short flashback of Rie and her husband being, his body, I guess, being possessed by the impurity, when it harms her son, we actually see it cry and look like kind of guilty or ashamed that it did that. So that's interesting. And even though she doesn't comment on it at all, when talking about it to the boys, I think it's more so for us, the audience, to see that even if Hikaru is this, similar to a god, and there is a difference between him and regular impurities, I feel like Rie is, understandably, very biased, and just with how personal it was to her, that she refuses to acknowledge that, yes, it did attack her kid, but at the same time, just like any other impurity that doesn't understand the importance that humans put on life and death and the concepts around that. It seems similar to Hikaru, that it maybe, didn't actually want to harm him, and it just happened, or, it had the instinct to attack him for whatever reason, but once it realized what just happened, it immediately regretted it. But unlike Yoshiki, Rie just couldn't forgive that. Well, granted, we don't know how Yoshiki would react if, before Hikaru took out that piece of himself, if he had attacked one of his family members, then we could say like, there's even more of a similarity between him and Rie. But it's because their situations are different like that. Not to mention, with Rie, it was a, normal relationship, a straight relationship between a woman and a man. Whereas here is the Yoshiki and Hikaru. So already there's a distinction between the way that they conduct each other. And as we saw, when Yoshiki first told Rie about this, she was like, they've been mixing. And it's a boy. I did not expect that, so it's definitely something to note. So yeah, like I said, I don't think Rie is straight up like a bad person for seeing Hikaru the way that she does, but she's also not a fully, all of course, I don't think she's being portrayed as all benevolent or like completely understanding of how Yoshiki and Hikaru might feel. But she still has glaring flaws and can't see, or she sees rather, that it is different from what happened between her and her fake husband, but she still tries to take Yoshiki's agency away by telling Hikaru that he should stay away from him because, otherwise you'll make him like you. And that's not gonna be good for him, so... yeah, there's definitely nuance to it that I like. And I hope she can develop over time. Since I'm pretty sure the manga is past where season 1 is going to end. So, yeah. Then we get the scene where Hikaru and Yoshiki are at OG Hikaru's makeshift grave. And it's interesting how when Hikaru starts talking about like what OG Hikaru and Yoshiki used to do here at their little base, he uses we, even though that doesn't apply to him, It was not this Hikaru who did that. But he still tries to act like it was him. And obviously it comes from his insecurity of not being the person that Yoshiki wishes had never gone away. So he's like, I don't understand. Like, I have all his memories. I mimic the way that he acted. So what's so different? And well, Yoshiki says some, a good ways to tell in regards to like attitude and personality. He ends it with he'll never come back. He's gone for good. And then we have the question, the million yen question. Did you like him? And even though, like, Yoshiki can't really fully deny it. Except he just kind of like tries and brush it off. Like, it doesn't really matter anymore. And he basically tries to say like, and if I did like him, basically, that doesn't mean I like you. Yeah, you don't need to worry about all this emotional stuff. But Hikaru doesn't really like that. He's like, well, I may not feel the exact same way that humans do, but I still feel a lot, especially towards you. But I am not quite sure what to make of Yoshiki's response. You and I got our own thing, right? We don't gotta follow the rules. And you know what? You shouldn't have to be human. So this, I feel like, pretty obvious, He's giving him the acceptance that no one else will give Hikaru. And is showing that he doesn't need him to be Hikaru. You can just be you. But also goes along with the allegory of like, you know, you don't need to pretend to be straight or cis. You're with me. A relationship won't fracture because of that. But yeah, a relationship don't have to follow those rules. Like, what does he mean exactly by that, you know? I'm not so sure. You and I got our own thing. Like, he's right, but what does that imply? In regards to the conversation they just had about whether he liked Hikaru or not. And then he finishes off by having a inner monologue about like, we gotta find Hikaru a place for himself. And then I really like the scene after, where Hikaru's like, well, if I just leave, then all the problems will go away, right? You don't gotta worry. I'll just leave, and then you'll be fine. And then Yoshiki starts saying all these reasons and all these different ways that no, actually, it's fine if you stay. We can just do this or that, so that all the impurities don't come here. It's just, you know, you're okay. You don't need to do that. Didn't you say you were lonely? So stop that. That's so heartwarming to me. And then we get an instance. We get to talk to Takeda Ji-san, and they're only let in because they mention Rie, and he wanted her because she's a medium. Yeah, so she could help him with the curse, but it was too late. And he talks about, I mean, it's still more than what Grandpa Indo said, but still kind of vague. Talks about a sin that the Indo family did way back when, and that's why they have to keep going up the mountain to, you know, right that wrong that killed a lot of people, but he doesn't say what it was. And Tanaka shows up as the old man gets possessed and tries to kill them. But then Tanaka himself, he's like, oh, I just want to confirm something, and then he freaking cuts Hikaru's head off. And I just feel so bad for Yoshiki having to see this new friend with Hikaru's body like this. Like, oh man, way to file another trauma on that. On the trauma drawer. But we do see at the very end that a little bit of like his, you know, his essence goo that starts coming out of the wound, and Tanaka starts singing. So yeah, well, I'm not even gonna try and predict how they're gonna get out of this one. Like, Tanaka has to be sure right after this that he has the right, you know, the right person. I mean, Tanaka doesn't see him as a person, but I do, so I'm saying that word. So, like, how is he kind of gonna get out of this? Since I highly doubt that Tanaka would just be like, oh, he's your friend and he promised to not harm any humans and it's okay. Nope. I don't see that happening. So let's just get into it. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, right where we left off. Oh, Yoshiki. Oh, okay. Is he even consciously doing this? Oh god, Tanaka's laughing! Uh. Oh god. And Tanaka's just letting him do that. Wow. Yeah, of course he'd pass out after that. He's completely overwhelmed. Also, visually, that was amazing. And the sound design, too. When Yoshiki was like, stick, 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 stick. And stick back on. Oh, you could feel so much his desperation. Like, at that point, Yoshiki was just, going off on adrenaline. Like, I feel like the only reason he was able to try so hard is because he'd already seen that Hikaru is very resilient. まぶた停止させて君は出会えるならまたここで争う Oh. Like seeing him just shrug off being stabbed probably helped. But yeah, it was just mostly Yoshiki just unwilling to accept that Hikaru could be fully dead. Where's Hikaru? Oh. Well, he seems to be breathing. Not that I'm not sure if he needs it, but that seems to be a good sign. Oh no. What's he planning? I'm worried. Shit. Just what I feared. Hmm? Huh. Wow. I did not expect that, but the way that his eyes are drawn makes more sense. Paranormal. Hmm. Same. Yeah, he's too passionate. He's as threatening as ever. I mean, it wasn't physical. It was, emotional. The damage he suffered. Weird. Uzekari. Ashi. Okay. Yeah, that's too coincidental to be, or too specific to be coincidental. Kubitachi. It's gotta be somewhere here. Oh. Right. Yeah. Hmm. Please. Oh, she knows about his company. Oh, Hikaru. Mm, mm, he doesn't seem to be completely conscious. Wow. Okay, he's back. Thanks, Ria. Oh. Hmm. Oh, it hurts? Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, it's because... Mm. Yeah, it's specifically to cut impurities. Mm. Oh, Yoshiki, you couldn't have known. Dummy. Don't say that! Ugh. Oh. Yeah. That's the first time they've heard unuki instead of nonuki. Hmm. Oh. 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 That hurts. But I mean, it's not like, yeah. Oh? Hmm? Okay. So we didn't get to see it. Right. So there were churches before? Hmm. Oh, uh-huh. Well, ooh, the music. What? That's a lot of heads. Okay, okay. Whoa! Should have listened to Yoshiki and not touched them. Why? Is it really a coincidence? Yeah. Mm. Ooh. Right, so that has nothing to do with the Indus families then. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's crazy. Mm. Damn. Oh, his own Yoshiki's dad. That's gonna be awkward considering they don't talk. But gotta be done. 幸せの秘密のその瞬間に世の中だけなってしまった。さよならあなたじゃなくたっていいから手のひらに変わらないでさよならあなた自分のさをなってしまってもただただどの平成何もこの中どうにないのにドゥルルンルンドゥンドゥルルンドゥルルンルンルンルン Oh, after credits? That's this scene we didn't see, that Hikaru didn't remember. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this episode was mostly lore and, finding out more and more about Unuki Nonuki-sama and the village's history. Which, I mean, it's something, that I am very curious about. But, of course, my priority is always character writing, so, definitely not one of my favorite episodes, but that's fine. That last scene, though, whoa. It was like Hikaru just being in a complete trance and being led fully by his own instincts and desires, the whole being driven by your id or ego. And by ego I mean, just going for what you want in a very, selfish way. And he was basically like, everything that has made him a slowly human-ish. It was completely stripped down here. And he was just going by what he thinks he has to do as the entity that he was born as. Also, I really like the way that the visuals were, you know, they had this kind of like static, like watching something in an old TV or like an old VHS. Because that's probably how it felt for Hikaru. Just being not fully there. Thankfully, he was woken up from this state by Yoshiki questioning what he was doing. Obviously, Yoshiki didn't know what he was trying to do, but he was just like, what, you know, what are you doing? And that alone was enough for Hikaru to be like, I shouldn't do this. So, yeah, I did not expect that. I mean, Hikaru has really developed a lot throughout this episodes. So that's why I wouldn't expect him to go into this fully, I keep saying fully complete just a very animalistic and just stripped down to his essential nature this far into the story. But considering he did get his head cut off and his essence goo was going all crazy, I think that might have influenced the way that he acted that night. So that might have messed with Hikaru's having a good grip on, what he does conscious and unconsciously. So another reason to be scared and upset at Tanaka messing up with the dynamic and Hikaru's character progression. And yeah, like Hikaru is, physically way less strong than he used to be. But Ria did confirm that a simple or a mere human could not be able to exercise him. And we know that Hikaru wasn't able to do anything about Tanaka's hunting dog. But we don't know if he is able to still, well, we know. No. I was gonna say, like, because I was misremembering, but no, him trying to kill Achan happened before he took out that part of himself. So we hadn't seen it, but Hikaru has reassured us that he can't really kill humans in the way that he's in right now. So it's like, even if he was there in that mental state in the after credits, like, sure, he may have scared Yoshiki, but he would not have been able to kill him at the very least. But that's still a little concerning. Especially, like, I don't know if he was lying when he said, I don't remember what I was doing there. But I'm hoping he was telling the truth. Also, it was a neat reveal that Tanaka is basically blind without the sunglasses. Like, I was noticing, like, the way he was looking without them. Like, at first I thought he was, like, maybe actually feeling a little bad that him, Takeda Ji-san, that he had arrived too late for him. But no, that's just the way he looks when he can't see. Yeah, it's not that his eyes are not drawn like that to show. Well, maybe sometimes. After all, he does say he can't see with the glasses, but I think they're just like that to show that he's blind. But I do feel like there's some slight emotion sometimes in them. Or maybe they've always just been empty because he's blind and I'm just, saying something that's not there. Okay, so he says that his company is looking for certain something from their world. He doesn't say what it is, of course, because, well, he wants to, there's no reason for him to tell old man Takeda, or Hajime, let's call him Hajime. But yeah, when asked, what are your personal reasons to be doing this? He just commends Hajime on how smart he is on noticing that. But he doesn't actually answer the question. He doesn't say what the personal stakes are for him here. He just tries to reassure him. Yeah, I'm on humanity's side. Whatever that means. But it is interesting that when he says that, we zoom out of the house and we have them, seeing them through the windows. And we have that divide that we've had to show that two characters don't really see eye to eye, even though they're technically on the same side. Like we had it with Yoshiki and Rie, and now here with Tanaka and Hajime. But yeah, I'm starting to doubt if we're gonna know what the hell, what drives Tanaka to go this far for to exterminate supernatural beings. I wonder if it has something to do with the way that he lost his eyes or his sight. Or it wasn't just one event in his life, it was just the accumulation of multiple ones. But I am intrigued, even if I want him 1,000 miles away from Yoshiki and Hikaru. But yeah, every time that they kept saying in the episode, that man has not done anything. It's been days and he has not made a move. So that every time that they kept the audience on alert with that, the anxiety just rises. Yeah, then we have Rie talk about how multiple body parts are found in each village with the corresponding name of it. So Arms are in udekare because ude means arm. Legs are in ashidori because ashi is leg. And so on and so forth. Except no one has found the heads, the skulls. But it should be, they all should be in kubitachi. And we didn't find the exact, the human heads. We found replicas of them. But we know they're in kubitachi. And now that we got that flashback of when the voice went into the Indo shrine. Oh, also when Hikaru first woke up, he was really going haywire and affecting Yoshiki until Rie intervened. So what happened, that hazy night? It's probably, a follow-up to this. So, well, Rie is not ideal in the way that she sees Hikaru. She's still very helpful and, does what she can to help them in which manner she thinks is best. But as we saw, like she'd most definitely feel the most comfortable imprisoning or sending Hikaru away for good. So, she's an ally for now, but it's definitely not someone we would consult for wanting Hikaru to find a place where him and Yoshiki can be safe and happy together. Happy relative to what they've been through already. Oh, that scene where Yoshiki tries to blame himself for what Tanaka did, and then for Hikaru being weakened after he gave that piece of himself to Yoshiki. That was really good. And that pulled a little at my heartstrings. And I like that every time Hikaru was there to tell him, no, it's not your fault, okay? So don't worry about it. I'll just run away, so just do what you did last time. You didn't do anything wrong. And similar to how Hoji Hikaru would do, he distracts Yoshiki with humor, which is really sweet. Then Maki, surprisingly, gives us some exposition about Unuki-sama, specifically about Mercury. That's where the Forbidden Mountain Nisayama got its name. Before long, they enshrined it as the god of the mountain, using the abortion drug. Huh. Interesting. After that, the diseases and stuff mysteriously stopped. Yeah, not mysteriously. It must have been Unuki-sama's doing. And also we have that little bit when Hikaru's like, oh guys, but if that god was really, just here among us and was taking the place of one of us, well, what would you do? And obviously, they can't. Just the fact that they're like, yeah, I would notice right away. It's already a sign that they can't even imagine how good their god would be at blending in. And I think it's worth noting that Yu-chan and Maki are the ones that said, like, it'd be better if the god just went back to where it came from. And you can see Hikaru's hurt expression at that. It's like, it sucks, but it's not like I can blame them because they don't have no context whatsoever. For them, this mysterious god, it's so far removed from what they know, they can't fathom that it would be so human-like. But yeah, Ah-chan didn't say anything. And she might have even been considering that, Hikaru's talking about himself, maybe. I mean, she already suspects that there's something supernatural going on with him. And that's why she's like, she was genuinely and seriously thinking about it. Then we get Maki's brother, who is actually an expert on Kubitachi's history, or specifically in regards to religion, said that after that, believers of another religion facing oppression at the time fled here. And we see a cross, so it must have been Catholicism? Settled down without fear of persecution. That's why Kiwagayama has so many churches even now. And that was in the 1700s? Yeah, churches. But obviously there's not a single church today here. So they got rid of them. And as we see in the flashback with Hikaru's dad, yeah, they actively did get rid of them. And all the people that worshipped anything that was not Nonuki-sama, most likely to not anger Nonuki-sama. I do like that we got that little bit with Yoshiko was so focused on trying to figure this out that he was even ignoring Hikaru, who this is all about. I mean, he doesn't remember any of that, but that's who he was previously. And for a second, he looks like he looks at Hikaru and sees like ancestor of OG Hikaru. And that's when they get to the temple. And I think that's the first time we see Hikaru touch something and have his memories be activated by that. Well, not his memories, Hikaru's memories, you know what I mean. Because I thought they were always there. But obviously, if you had to ask Grandpa Indo about Hichi-san, then obviously he didn't have all of them. But yeah, convenient or inconvenient that specifically memories that would pertain to Nonoki-sama are the ones that he can't recall. Also, it's yeah, like the casual way that Hikaru's dad just says, they kill tons of innocent people, cut off their heads, and offer them up. It's kind of chilling. Like, sure, it happened a long time ago, but that's still kind of a wild thing to talk about to a little kid. And just, just the way that he says it, it doesn't have the weight that you'd expect from such a conversation. And then he says, this is the curse of our village. Never forget that. Don't forget the Indo's family sin either. Which is kind of ironic since current Hikaru doesn't remember. But yeah, it was a murder village. And no one in the present seems to really know the history. Also, it's hard to tell, but I think that's Tanaka visiting the top of the mountain. In the present. I think it's him. Where they make the offering to Onuki-san or Sama. And we see Hichi-san in his hand. But yeah, okay. A lot of info thrown at me this episode. So I hope I can hold on to all of it. But it's a lot. So what do we do with this information? Like what is all of this leading to? Like, I doubt that all of this is gonna go public and the whole village will find out about it. But then, how does this help? Also, like, Hikaru said, like, why would I need offerings to grant wishes? I don't need that. So obviously that's definitely humans misunderstanding what Nonoki-sama wanted. Which, yeah, that's very, typical of humans in ancient past. Just doing whatever to please the gods. At the very least in this one, the god kinda existed, and I said kinda because, humans themselves gave Nonoki-sama the title of god. But we don't know if Nonoki-sama saw itself as a god. So, yeah. What I'm just like, what is gonna be the ultimate theme in regards to, like, religion, ultimately? I don't think we're gonna have an answer by the end of the season, but I'm just bringing that up because I'm not sure. So I think that's all I have for today. So if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya.